Well, Brian, just to respond briefly, Brian, all I did was refer to the law that Kamala Harris's running mate passed as the governor of Minnesota, the position that he currently holds. So, if you think that sounds crazy or wild, or I don't know what to tell you, then I suppose we're living in different countries. I think Cenk made a much better point than Brian just made. And Cenk's point was that Americans want change. They don't like the status quo. And I think that's absolutely true. And I do think this was the missed opportunity of the debate. The status quo is Kamala Harris.
Right.
She's the vice president. She's been imbued with presidential authority on immigration and other issues. So the change agent is Donald Trump here. That's what the debate's got to be about. That's what the election focus has to be about.
Ben Shapiro, your great friend, tweeted this: "This debate won't matter. The American people still know nothing about Kamala Harris's positions. Donald Trump is still Donald Trump, and the legacy media are still a giant flaming dog turd."
So in the wake of last night's debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, a lot of people are claiming that Kamala Harris won the debate. Well, I have to disagree, and let me tell you why. What I've learned today in watching a lot of people react to and give their opinions of what went right and what went wrong during the debate last night, it comes with this caveat that I think a lot of people are overlooking. Given that Donald Trump completely demolished Joe Biden to the point where he quit in this first debate, people had a very high expectation of Donald Trump's performance, right? And at the same time, Kamala Harris not having had policies on her website until the day before, and 3.5 years of failed policies as far as the current administration, especially when it comes to immigration and the foreign wars, had a very low expectation for her, right? So Donald Trump expectation up here, Kamala Harris expectation way down here, like below the desk. So when the expectations are predetermined and set at such a different level, I think it's hard for a lot of these people to make a fair determination, a distinction on who actually won. In my opinion, Donald Trump won because, first of all, Kamala Harris knowingly lied over and over and over again. She cited Project 2025. She cited the Very Fine People hoax. A lot of things that are common knowledge have been completely debunked. Even right after Donald Trump claimed that he's leaving the abortion issue to the states and that's what the people want, she says he's going to come out here and ban it federally. And not only that, most people noticed that it turned very quickly into a 3-on-1, and Donald Trump wasn't treated fairly as it relates to the debate moderators. They were interjecting their own personal opinions and having mini debates within the big debate, allowing Kamala Harris to sit back and give these really awkward moments where she would smile at Donald Trump and go like this and like, really none of that is presidential in my opinion. But yet people are saying that that was cute, that was something that she did well by provoking him, which in my opinion, if she tries to do that with Vladimir Putin, it's not going to be good for the United States. So if Donald Trump goes into the election with a 100%, A++ rating going into it as far as expectation, but then only delivers a C+, people are going to see that as a failure, right? Because he was rattled in some of these instances. The case where he's talking about the Haitians was unbecoming, even though, in my opinion, that was Donald Trump listening to the American people. He was listening to the locals and believing and trusting in what they say. He's representing the American people of those neighborhoods and trusting them when they come out here and say that the Haitians can't drive and that they're, taking ducks, which I believe they're calling the ducks, they're calling geese ducks. I see that a lot down here in this area too. For some reason, everybody wants to call Canadian geese a duck, but whatever. The Haitians are coming out there. They're taking the geese, the ducks from the park. There's a lot of reports saying that, they're taking the cats and all this stuff. And that's Donald Trump, in my opinion, listening to the American people. Isn't that what a leader should do? Now, maybe that sounds like I'm making an excuse, but I just think that's the reality of it. Donald Trump was listening to the American people. It was all over social media. A guy that's running for mayor of the city is making the claim. And, what else? What do you expect Donald Trump to do? Not believe them? And so, I can appreciate Donald Trump listening to the people, even if they're wrong. At least he's standing up for the American citizens. And in doing that, yes, he missed on some opportunities to talk about Kamala Harris's failures as borders are and all that. But so was he perfect? No. But what he didn't do was repetitively lie and not listen to his opponent, because that's what Kamala Harris did. She lied, she lied, she lied. And one of the craziest parts that seems like nobody caught is that Kamala Harris admitted to having like 5 meetings with Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, yet she's only been to the American southern border once, maybe twice, and she was the border czar. So what that tells me is that she cares more about Ukrainians than she does the American people. And I wish Trump would have pointed that out, but nobody's perfect. And also, there's this other accusation going around that Kamala Harris was wearing these pearl earrings that actually as a transmitting, like they're listening devices, like an earbud. So I don't know if that's true. It's some rumors that are going around. And the pictures, when you compare them side by side, are about 95% exactly the same looking. So you just have to wonder, right? Because we know that Democrats will lie, cheat, and steal in order to win elections. And I've seen some debunking of that story that she was instead wearing $800 Tiffany earrings. So, I mean, either way, she's way out of touch with the American people, because a lot of people out there would love to have $800 in their bank account, and she's out here wearing $800 earrings. I mean, if that's the case. And then on the other hand, when Kamala Harris comes out there and doesn't just fall flat on her face, although she introduced herself to Donald Trump at the very beginning, said, "My name is Kamala," or whatever it was. I thought it was super cringe and weird, because it's like, who doesn't know who you are? We're all tuning in to watch the debate, especially Donald Trump. And then she proceeded to speak word salad for the first few minutes. She sounded drunk. Her voice is annoying. And I believe she actually was muted for some of the cackling events, since they're muting the microphones back and forth. And one of the worst parts about it for her is every time she claims that I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix that, she has the opportunity to fix those things now because she is a part of the current administration, and they're not. So she's claiming that she's going to fix issues that her administration caused, first of all, and second of all, she's not doing anything about it currently. But regardless, when the bar was set so low for her and she didn't come out and just fall flat on her face, people were seeing that as a win. So the perception is to a lot of people that she won the debate, when the reality is Donald Trump still performed better, in my opinion, because he was able to speak on a lot of the accomplishments that he actually did, whereas she was talking negatively about him for a lot of her time and just basically trying to do what Democrats do and make you hate the opponent rather than vote for themselves. So in this one, we're basically going to have a look at Tomi Lahren and Michael Knowles going up against Cenk Uygur and Brian Tyler Cohen as it relates to this debate. I hope you guys enjoy it. I think you will. This one was one of the most interesting conversations that I've been able to find today. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this type of content. And so let's get her started.
Let me start with you, Cenk, because you've repeatedly called me a Trump sympathizer, a Trump whisperer, a Trump supporter, all these ridiculous things. I'm very happy, as I tweeted earlier, to say to you that I think Kamala Harris not only won the debate last night, she won it quite comfortably. And I was very surprised by that. I thought she began nervously, but grew in confidence. Trump started confidently and then pretty much lost the plot and responded to a lot of her deliberate goading in entirely the way she would have hoped. So I think it was a big win for Kamala Harris. It may not move the needle in the immediate aftermath in terms of the election, but in terms of momentum and in terms of what happened to the Democrats after the last debate, you've got to say it was a good night.
Yeah, Piers, look, in your intro, you're fair and you're right. Kamala Harris definitely won and Donald Trump clowned himself. But you're kind of rooting for Trump and you could tell that you were disappointed in how it went. So I get it. You guys are friends. It's okay.
I'm actually, you've always miscategorized. Just to be clear, I'm not disappointed. I genuinely thought he was going to win. They're different things. And he didn't win. And that's a problem for Trump and a good night for Kamala Harris. And so they're different things. I don't have a horse in the race. I can't vote for anybody. I do know Trump way better than I know Kamala Harris. But I'm always trying to be fair. I've told you this before, and I think I'm being fair now when I absolutely say Kamala won.
Yeah, I hear you. Look, it's your bias, whether it's slight or significant, is irrelevant. Don't sweat it, okay?
I'm not biased.
You know what? You know what, Piers? I pardon you. Okay.
All right, let's move on.
So seriously, look, I was on here after the Biden-Trump debate, and I said Biden got annihilated, and he did, right? You have to be fair and objective, and I think you were in the intro here. There's no question that Trump got annihilated here. And MAGA has the same problem that the establishment has. the establishment thinks that everybody thinks like them, and they think, oh my God, doesn't everybody love the status quo? No, the overwhelming majority of the country constantly wants change because their lives are not as good as the millionaire anchors on television. But television anchors just cannot get that through their heads, right? And they love corporate rule, but the rest of the country doesn't. And MAGA has the same problem because they think, oh, doesn't everybody know that Haitian immigrants are eating cats and dogs? I saw an out-of-context video online that right-wing media told me was Haitians. Oh, that's it. All the immigrants are eating cats and dogs. Look, MAGA, you're not getting it. No one else thinks that. First of all, it's not true. The local cops say it's not true. Everybody says it's not true. But not only that, the rest of the country doesn't think like you. So when you say stuff like that, you sound unhinged. When you insist Trump still won the election as Trump did last night, you sound unhinged. When you talk about post-birth abortions, that's not a thing that exists. I know in your mind you think it does, but A, it doesn't in objective reality. That's just called murder. And there is no such law in America at all. Right-wing media lied to you through and through and tricked you. But most importantly, the people that are going to decide this election are not MAGA, are not establishment. They're guys in the middle. And when they see Trump talking about eating cats and dogs and executing babies, he looks nuts, and it drives them all into Kamala Harris's arms. So if you're MAGA, you should be furious at Trump tonight.
Okay,
or today.
Let me go to Tomi first on this. Tomi, I want to play that clip where he talked about the Haitian migrants eating pets. Let's take a look.
What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
The thing is, Tomi, that should have been a home run for Trump, right? This is absolutely his wheelhouse. She was the border czar. She's dropped the ball massively. That's all he had to say. But going down this ridiculous conspiracy rabbit hole of migrants eating everyone's pets, which had already been discredited, certainly there's no actual evidence to prove it at the moment. It just seemed, as Cenk says, he sounded a bit nuts, and he lost the momentum of what should have been a home run.
I don't disagree that he missed a huge opportunity to hold her to account on the border invasion that happened on her watch. She didn't answer why she let 10 million plus in. That was a question she was asked that she dodged, because the low-hanging fruit is to talk about the bipartisan border bill. But I don't disagree with you. Trump had an opportunity to hold her feet to the fire, and he didn't do it. Now, I will also say this. If Donald Trump wanted to talk about Springfield, Ohio, or Aurora, Colorado, or other communities that are being devastated by mass immigration of foreign nationals, he could have taken that opportunity, because it's a very real thing that's happening. Sanctuary cities are going broke and bankrupt, taking care of millions of people that have been thrown into their communities that refuse to assimilate. He could have discussed it in that way, because these communities are being devastated, and you have people at city council meetings that are quite frankly talking about it. But he chose to go a different route. I wish he had not done that. I wish he would have taken the bait. There's no doubt he took the bait, he took the hook, he took the line, he took the sinker, he took the entire frickin' boat. And I am frustrated by that, and I am intellectually honest enough to say it. I wish he had not done that. He missed several opportunities last night, but that does not change the fact that Kamala Harris's record, both in 2020 and 3.5 years in office, is abysmal. I wish he would have focused on that.
Yeah, I agree. Let me bring in Michael, actually, on this as another conservative here. Were you disappointed when that debate finished, that Trump played it the way he did?
I thought it finished strong. I felt that Trump's closing statement was excellent. I agree with you, Piers. He should have given the closing statement probably as the introductory statement. I thought Trump did very well for the first 20 or 25 minutes. I thought that was a pretty clear victory. And then when Kamala, quite good at manipulating people, was able to get him to fall for the trap on the crowd sizes, that did throw things. However, that was also when the moderators stepped in, the so-called moderators. And so you really did have a 3-on-1 debate at that point. There were missed opportunities, but Cenk earlier mentioned that President Trump said all sorts of things that aren't true. And the example he used was the notion of post-birth abortion, the notion that babies are killed through abortion after birth. And Lindsay Davis, who was one of the so-called moderators, made this point when she fact-checked Trump. But she was wrong, and Cenk is wrong, and this is really happening. And the irony of it is that one of the chief proponents of killing babies who survive abortion after birth is Kamala Harris's own running mate, Tim Walz. This is not difficult to look up. Within the past couple of years, Governor Walz in Minnesota repealed legal requirements that would force doctors who have babies who have survived abortions to provide medical care for them as they would to any other patient. So that is happening. When President Trump quoted the Democrat governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, who said that after a baby is born, if the mother doesn't want it, they'll have a conversation with the doctor, see what they're going to do. That's on tape. You don't need to take my word for it. You can go watch it on tape. So there were...
Rather than play the tape for you, I went ahead and put the quote on the screen. This is from a BBC article. So in this particular example, if a mother's in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen, he told WTOP's Ask the Governor program on Wednesday. The infant would be delivered, the infant would be kept comfortable, the infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and family desired, and then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother.
So there were multiple instances of the moderators intervening and lying on Kamala's behalf, and then they never at any point fact-checked Kamala's lies. So I agree. I'm not saying it was the greatest performance ever. I think there were a number of missed opportunities from President Trump. I suspect his campaign advisors told him not to get aggressive. I thought it was crazy that he never called out the moderators. People always ought to attack the media in politics.
Do you know what I thought? You know what I thought,
warranted.
Michael? I just thought at the end that he was a bit boring, Trump. And the one thing he cannot be is boring.
And that right there is a good example of what I referenced in the beginning. Piers Morgan went into this debate with an expectation way up here of Donald Trump to just go in and crush it. So when he doesn't meet that expectation, it's somehow immediately a failure.
Because the point of Trump is he's so different to every other politician. He either makes you laugh, or he shocks you, or he's combative, or there's stuff always going on, which is compelling. I just didn't find Trump very compelling last night. I just felt that he was very repetitive, and he got caught in various traps that were laid for him way too easily. But ultimately, I just thought he wasn't very entertaining either. So on every level, he wasn't Trump-like.
I agree there were a few moments where there should have been more pizzazz, but then don't forget, when he was talking about the cats and the dogs and the Haitian migrants, which we're all calling it a discredited story, but of course there are Springfield residents talking about this, and really all of the kind of evocative graphic details are really just there to call people's attention to the fact that Kamala Harris brought 300,000 people from a failed state with rampant cannibalism into the middle of America. That's something that most Americans don't like. When he did get a little spicier, he had some good lines about sending Kamala Harris a MAGA hat and how her economic policy that she stole from Biden and from him amounted to run, spot, run. There were some decent lines. I just felt he had to get aggressive in a different way, and he especially has to get aggressive on the moderators if they're going to intervene.
Yeah, because I don't think he's worked out quite how to do that with Kamala Harris. We're bringing Brian. I mean, Brian, look, I think it was a clear win for her. I think also the fact that Taylor Swift, the biggest pop star on the planet, arguably ever, has come out with such a ringing, emphatic endorsement when many people thought she may just avoid doing that altogether. Everyone kind of knew her leanings, but they thought maybe, you know, she's with this big burly NFL guy, very popular in middle America, and would she actually show her colours in such an emphatic way? Well, she did, and she chose Kamala's big win night to do it. So a double win, I think, for Kamala Harris, especially with young women who would have been watching that debate, heard all the abortion stuff, saw Taylor Swift's comments and so on. But, and it's an important but really, this race is absolutely wafer thin. I had Nate Silver from 538 on last week saying it literally is as close as it could possibly be. Do you really think that this will move the needle in the race, or has it, what it's really done, has it given the Democrats more impetus, particularly after the debate debacle with Joe Biden?
Do I really think that Taylor Swift's endorsement, where her biggest audience is Gen Z, which is the smallest vote, which is the biggest voting bloc, but the voting bloc in which the fewest people vote, and she just posted to millions of people a voter registration link in her Instagram? Do I think that that will have an impact in this election where the margins are probably going to be decided by tens of thousands or just thousands of votes? Absolutely. And I think that we should take advantage of every opportunity that we get. It's important to note, too, that Donald Trump forced her hand. This was an unforced error because he was so desperate to lie about accepting her endorsement by posting some AI Swifties for Trump photo. He couldn't help himself but lie.
Yeah, right, dude. You really think that Taylor Swift came out and endorsed Kamala Harris because Donald Trump posted an AI photo, an obvious AI created photo that Taylor Swift was supporting Donald Trump? You're crazy. You're just trying to use this as a convenient excuse because you don't have anything of substance and you lack a sense of humor. Donald Trump is a businessman who chose to run for president because he felt the country had a need that he could fill. He's not a lifelong politician, and he's rather funny. So if you can't laugh at something that he does funny, and you got to take everything so seriously, then maybe you should take everything seriously when it comes to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Because you love to hold Trump's feet to the fire anytime he makes a joke, yet you give all these passes to every single one of these candidates that represent the Democratic Party, and we see it. So Taylor Swift coming out and supporting Kamala Harris has nothing to do with a Trump meme. It has everything to do with her being brainwashed just like the rest of you are. Not to mention, I wouldn't put it past her that she got paid for it.
And so that forced her hand in terms of then going out there and saying, look, I don't know if I would have said anything, but because there was manipulated video, manipulated photos out there, I thought the right course of action was to correct the record and let my actual position be known. And so because this guy is incapable of telling the truth, because he has to wield lies on a daily basis, because every time he opens his mouth, he has to spew disinformation and misinformation, he screwed himself here. And so he's the one that's going to be hurt from all of this. But moving back to just something that I think Michael said and Cenk said, Cenk started off very rightly talking about how Republicans and Donald Trump seem unhinged by perpetuating these ideas that dogs and cats are being eaten and that women are having post-birth abortions. And the first thing that Michael does when he comes on here is perpetuate these exact claims. Look, you guys can do this
and
until you're blue in the face.
With evidence.
I don't know how to convey the extent to which when Republicans say this kind of stuff, it does not resonate with normal people. And you seem crazy. And Donald Trump went out there on stage, got laughed at by the entire nation. And then, Michael, you come on here and you do the exact same thing. So please, triple down on this. Quadruple down on this. Make this election a referendum on this bogus notion that women are executing their babies after they're born. I beg of you, we'll see how that works out.
Okay.
Well, Brian, just to respond briefly, Brian, all I did was refer to the law that Kamala Harris's running mate passed as the governor of Minnesota, the position that he currently holds. So, if you think that sounds crazy or wild, or I don't know what to tell you, then I suppose we're living in different countries. I think Cenk made a much better point than Brian just made. And Cenk's point was that Americans want change. They don't like the status quo. And I think that's absolutely true. And I do think this was the missed opportunity of the debate. The status quo is Kamala Harris.
Right.
She's the vice president. She's been imbued with presidential authority on immigration and other issues. So the change agent is Donald Trump here. That's what the debate's got to be about. That's what the election focus has to be about.
But actually, most viewers would have had the complete opposite impression. I mean, somehow, miraculously, Cenk, I thought Kamala Harris managed to present herself as the change option here, given the fact she's been VP for nearly 4 years, is extraordinary. Ben Shapiro, your great friend, tweeted this: "This debate won't matter. The American people still know nothing about Kamala Harris's positions. Donald Trump is still Donald Trump, and the legacy media are still a giant flaming dog turd."
So that pretty much wraps this one up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll spare you any more commentary after that long intro, but make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video, and like always, make sure you leave me a comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys in the next one.